Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is about one of the most shocking developments in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. The news has sent ripples through Moscow and beyond. Ukrainian missiles have reportedly struck deep inside Russian territory, far beyond the front lines. This is something that no one, including the Kremlin, expected to happen. The incident has left Vladimir Putin and his top military officials in complete disbelief, as the scale and precision of the attack demonstrate that Ukraine's military capabilities are far more advanced than Russia had imagined. According to reports emerging from multiple sources, the Ukrainian missiles hit critical military and industrial sites inside Russia, hundreds of kilometers from the border. This wasn't a small drone attack or a localized strike. This was a full-scale, high-impact assault that shook the Russian defense establishment to its core. Explosions were seen lighting up the night sky, with videos quickly spreading across social media showing plumes of smoke, emergency vehicles rushing to the scenes, and locals in panic. For Putin, this strike is more than just a military setback. It's a symbolic blow that questions Russia's ability to defend its own homeland. The Ukrainian leadership has not officially confirmed all the details, but several senior officials hinted that this is part of a new phase in the war, one where Ukraine takes the fight directly to Russian soil. Over the past few months, Ukraine has been steadily improving its long-range attack capabilities, using both Western-supplied systems and domestically produced missiles. This latest attack seems to be the most successful and audacious demonstration of that growing power. The precision and reach of the missiles show that Ukraine has managed to overcome Russia's air defense systems, which were previously considered nearly impenetrable. In Moscow, this development has caused shockwaves throughout the political and military establishment. Reports suggest that emergency meetings were held in the Kremlin immediately after the strikes. Putin, who has always presented Russia as a fortress of strength and control, now faces one of his most serious challenges since the start of the war. Russian citizens as demanding answers, Vidicting and Surthing officials state online that everything is trust, that everything is in control, and that everything is under control. The Kremlin's traditional strategy of denying or minimizing attacks inside Russia is becoming harder to maintain as the evidence becomes impossible to ignore. Experts believe this attack marks a turning point. For months, Ukraine had been under relentless bombardment, with Russian missiles targeting its cities, power stations, and infrastructure. But now, the tables appear to be turning. This is Ukraine's message to Moscow, that no place inside Russia is completely safe anymore. The psychological effect of these strikes is immense. It sends a clear signal to the Russian public that the war they supported or ignored is no longer distant. It is now reaching their own cities, their own industrial zones, and perhaps even their sense of national security. In military terms, this strike could force Russia to divert its resources. Air defenses that were once concentrated near the Ukrainian front lines may now have to be moved deeper into Russian territory. This shift could weaken Russian positions at the front and give Ukrainian forces new opportunities to advance. At the same time, it creates a logistical nightmare for Russia's military planners, who now must defend a vast country against unpredictable missile attacks. For Ukraine, this could be a strategic advantage that changes the momentum of the war. The reaction from the international community has been mixed but cautious. Western allies of Ukraine have long urged Kyiv to focus its attacks within occupied territories rather than deep inside Russia. However, many analysts argue that this was inevitable. After months of relentless Russian missile strikes on Ukrainian cities, Ukraine's decision to retaliate on Russian soil is seen by many as an act of self-defense. Still, there is concern that such attacks could provoke even more aggressive retaliation from Moscow. Putin may now feel pressured to escalate, either by intensifying attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure or by making new threats against NATO and the West. Inside Russia, the atmosphere is tense. Social media platforms are filled with posts from shocked citizens, showing videos of explosions and fires. Russian authorities are working quickly to censor the footage and control the narrative, but the truth is spreading faster than they can contain it. Many Russians are asking how this could happen, despite the billions of rubles spent on national defense. How could Ukrainian missiles reach so deep into the country? The government's credibility is at stake, and public confidence in the military strength is visibly weakening. For Putin personally, this is a moment of humiliation. He has built his image as a strong leader who protects Russia's borders and ensures national security. Now, that image is cracking. The sight of explosions inside Russian territory is not just a military embarrassment, but also a political one. Opposition figures and critics, both inside and outside Russia, are seizing the opportunity to point out that Putin's war, intended to secure Russia's dominance, is now endangering it instead. Even some of his traditional supporters are beginning to question whether the war is worth the growing cost. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, the mood is one of cautious pride and renewed determination. For months, Ukrainians have endured blackouts, air raids, and destruction from Russian missiles. This successful strike feels like a form of justice, a signal that Ukraine is capable of hitting back and defending its sovereignty with power and precision. The morale boost among Ukrainian troops and citizens is undeniable. President Zelensky and his government are framing the event as proof that Russia's aggression will no longer go unanswered. As the news spreads, military analysts are trying to determine exactly which weapons were used in the strike. Some believe Ukraine used its domestically produced long-range missiles, while others suggest that modified Western systems may have been involved. Whatever the case, the technical achievement is significant. It demonstrates that Ukraine has both the intelligence and the technology to strike key Russian assets, even under heavy electronic warfare and radar defenses. This development could reshape the dynamics of future warfare in the region. The big question now is how Putin will respond. Historically, when faced with embarrassment or setbacks, the Kremlin tends to retaliate harshly. Russia could launch a new wave of missile attacks across Ukraine or attempt cyber attacks against Ukrainian and Western infrastructure. Some fear that Moscow could even resort to extreme threats or rhetoric to remind the world of its nuclear capabilities. However, such a move could further isolate Russia diplomatically and strengthen international support for Ukraine. Many observers believe that this event exposes deep flaws in Russia's air defense system. For years, Russian propaganda has boasted about its advanced S-400 and SE-500 systems, claiming they could intercept any incoming threat. But this strike proves otherwise. If Ukraine can successfully penetrate these defenses, it suggests vulnerabilities that could be exploited again. Western military strategists are studying the incident closely, as it could reveal valuable information about Russia's weaknesses and operational gaps. At the same time, the strike raises broader questions about the future of the conflict. Is this the beginning of a new phase where Ukraine regularly hits targets inside Russia? Or is it a one-time warning shot meant to send a political message? The answer may depend on how the Kremlin reacts. If Russia escalates further, Ukraine could feel justified in continuing such operations. But if Moscow hesitates, it could signal to the world that even Russia is wary of the consequences of open escalation. One thing is clear. The war has entered a new and unpredictable stage. What began as a regional invasion has now turned into a long, grinding conflict with no clear end in sight. Each new strike, each counterattack, brings the two nations closer to a dangerous tipping point. The recent missile attack deep inside Russia has shattered the illusion of safety within its borders. And that psychological shift could change everything. For ordinary Russians, the fear is growing. As the sound of sirens and explosions reach cities, once thought untouchable, many are beginning to feel what Ukrainians have endured for almost 2 years. For Ukrainians, this strike symbolizes resilience, innovation, and the will to survive. It's a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they can still strike back with power and precision. In the coming days, all eyes will be on Putin and his next move. Will he double down and escalate the war, or will this shocking strike push him toward negotiations? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: the impact of this attack will echo far beyond the battlefield. It challenges the myth of Russian invincibility and shows the world that Ukraine is not backing down. The situation remains tense, and updates continue to pour in. Whatever happens next, this moment will be remembered as one of the most dramatic shifts in the entire war. The shock on Putin's face, the panic among Russian officials, and the pride in Kiev all tell the same story. The balance of power is changing, and the consequences will shape the future of this conflict for years to come.